that the substances were just put into Skims without anybody knowledge higher up at Skims. This is so bad for the brand, and the article is now everywhere, and I definitely believe that Kim and the clan are 100% affiliated to the transportation of these substances.
$8.4 million worth of cocaine hidden inside a shipment of Kim Kardashian's underwear, crossing an international border. And when investigators started pulling on the threads of this case, what they found underneath was so carefully planned, so deliberately constructed, and so deeply connected to the Skims brand specifically, that people started asking a question nobody wanted to say out loud. Did Kim know? We are going to get into all of it. 10 details from this case that the headlines buried. And by the end of this video, you will have the full picture, and you can decide for yourself what you believe. Subscribe and hit the bell before we start. I have a follow-up dropping this week that goes even deeper, and what it reveals about Kim's silence is something her PR team definitely does not want trending. Subscribers get it first. Let's go. 10. The truck was modified before the driver ever touched the Skims cargo.
The National Crime Agency said Jakub, his name was age 40, was driving a truck carrying 28 pallets of Skim clothing from the Netherlands when he was stopped by border officials at a port in Essex in September. The agency said Mr. Jacob Konkel had stopped on the way to collect 90 kilograms, which is 198 pounds of coke, and that the truck had been specially adapted so that he could actually hide the substances, wrapped in 1 kilo packages in a compartment of the truck's back doors.
Here is the first thing that should stop you cold. The hidden compartment built into the rear trailer doors of that truck, the one that held 90 kilograms of cocaine, was professionally engineered before Jacob Jan Konkel ever picked up a single pallet of Skims clothing. This wasn't improvised. Nobody shoved drugs into a box last minute and hoped for the best. Someone pre-built a concealment unit into a commercial vehicle, specifically designed to survive a port inspection. And then that vehicle was assigned, deliberately assigned, to carry a Skims shipment. Now, who assigns trucks to shipments? Who coordinates which vehicle carries which cargo? Those are the questions investigators were asking. And the answers lead somewhere interesting. Because this operation didn't just know about Skims, it knew the route, the schedule, and the port of entry. That is not a coincidence. That is inside knowledge. How deep does that inside knowledge go? That's what secret number 9 starts to answer. 9. They chose Skims deliberately, and the reason raises questions.
You're really going to sit here and tell me that the Kardashians do not have any affiliation to this? This is how they get their money. This is how they get their coin. And I think that this has got everything to do with Kim trying to be in the office, you know, trying to post bail for so many of these people and these prisoners and etc., wanting to get into the political world and taking a picture with, you know, the president in the office, and just that connection that she has. I think it's got everything to do with the transportation of the legal substances.
Organized crime groups don't pick celebrity brands by accident. They pick them by calculation. And they need information to do it. To use a Skims shipment as cover, you need to know which freight company handles the cargo, which route it takes, which port it enters through, which dates it moves. That is not publicly available information. That is internal supply chain intelligence. The NCA confirmed that criminal networks deliberately attach themselves to legitimate, high-volume shipments from recognizable brands, because routine-looking freight is the last thing border officials flag. The more ordinary a delivery looks, the better it works as cover. Skims, shipping thousands of units across international borders constantly, is the perfect candidate. But here is the question that keeps surfacing in the comments, in the forums, and in the conversations people are having about this case. How did a criminal network on the other side of the world get close enough to the Skims supply chain to exploit it this precisely? Nobody has answered that yet. And the people who could answer it are staying very quiet. 8. The driver was paid €4,500 to move $8.4 million worth of cocaine.
To transport the drugs for a payment of €4,500, which is $5,000 according to the agency. This man was sentenced to 13.5 years in prison at Chelmsford Crown Court in London, in the UK.
Let that sink in for a moment. Jakub Jan Konkel agreed to smuggle $8.4 million worth of Class A drugs across an international border, a crime that carried a sentence of over 13 years, in exchange for €4,500. That is roughly $5,000. That is 0.06% of the value of the drugs he was transporting. The criminal organization behind this operation staked an $8.4 million shipment on a truck driver they were paying less than a month's rent in London. That tells you two things about how organized crime works. First, these networks have so much product moving through so many channels that losing one shipment is a rounding error. Second, the people at the bottom of the chain, the ones taking all the risk, are considered entirely disposable. Konkel got 13.5 years. The people who built the compartment, loaded the cocaine, and pocketed the $8.4 million are still out there. 7. A 16-minute stop, and someone knew exactly when to be there. The technology that caught Jakub Konkel was not a dramatic police chase. It was a small device inside the cab recording speed, distance, and rest stops. The kind of data log every commercial driver in Europe must legally run. When NCA investigators reviewed his tachograph, they found it. A 16-minute stop on his route from the Netherlands to the UK. A stop Konkel never mentioned, not once, during his entire interview with investigators. That 16 minutes was when the cocaine was loaded. But think about what that loading required. Somebody had to know which truck, which route, which 16-minute window. Somebody had to be physically there, waiting with 90 kilograms of packaged cocaine, ready to load it into a pre-built compartment in 16 minutes flat and disappear. That level of coordination does not happen without a network. A connected, informed, well-resourced network. One with access to information about this specific shipment, this specific truck, and this specific driver. 13.5 years in prison for 16 minutes. But the people waiting at that stop, still unidentified, still free, still coordinating. 6. He also had a phone that wiped itself every 18 hours. Here is where it gets darker. When investigators searched Konkel's vehicle, they also recovered a mobile phone connected to the operation. That phone had been configured to automatically erase all of its data every 18 hours. Not after a week, not daily. Every 18 hours. That is not the phone of a man who made a spontaneous decision for some quick cash. That is purpose-built criminal infrastructure. Someone handed him that phone. Someone set it up. Someone decided that 18 hours was the maximum safe window before a communication trail became too dangerous to leave alive. Konkel was not the brains of this operation. He was the last mile. And the people who built the rest of it were very, very careful. If you are not subscribed yet, do it right now. This week I'm dropping the full breakdown of what this bust means for Skims going forward. The brand valuation, the supply chain exposure, and what Kim's continued silence is signaling to investors. That video connects every dot we're laying out today. Subscribers see it first. Hit the button. Let's keep going. 5. Border officers got suspicious from the way he was driving. The X-ray, the tachograph, the hidden phone, all of that came after the initial stop. But what triggered the inspection in the first place? His driving behavior at the port. That's it. No intelligence tip. No prior flag on his record. Border Force officers watched the way Konkel moved his vehicle through the port of Harwich and decided something was off. That instinct led to the X-ray. The X-ray revealed the compartment. The compartment held 90 kilograms of cocaine. A career criminal organization built a sophisticated multi-country smuggling operation with a self-wiping phone, a pre-engineered truck, and an $8.4 million drug consignment. And the thing that exposed it was a 40-year-old truck driver who couldn't keep it together in a port queue. 490 packages, each exactly 1 kilogram, wrapped and counted. When they opened that compartment, they didn't find a chaotic mess of drug bags stuffed into a hiding space. They found 90 individual packages, each containing exactly 1 kilogram of cocaine, neatly wrapped and stacked inside the engineered cavity in the trailer doors. This is a logistics operation, weighed, packaged, catalogued, and loaded with the same precision as the Skims products sitting in the pallets a few feet away. NCA, Border Force Assistant Director Jason Thorne, called it exactly what it is: organized crime that destroys communities and inflicts misery on real people. The clinical packaging makes it easy to think of this abstractly. But 90 kilograms of cocaine hitting UK streets would have touched thousands of lives. The neatness of those packages makes it worse, not better. 3. Skims finally spoke. And the statement raised more questions than it answered.
I really thought it was important for me to kind of put it out there and say Kim or Skims have nothing to do with this. If it were to be that, they would have already been in trouble with the law.
By the time the story exploded globally, the question on everyone's lips was simple. What does Kim Kardashian have to say about this? The answer: 3 sentences. Skims released a statement saying the brand was aware of the news, had no knowledge of the criminal activity, and had no connection to the smuggling operation, the driver, or the truck. That is it. Legally precise, carefully worded by a team of lawyers. And here is what it did not do. It did not explain how a criminal network accessed enough information about the Skims supply chain to exploit it this precisely. It did not address the internal rote intelligence required to pull this off, and it did not come from Kim personally. Now, here is where we have to be clear. The NCA investigated this fully. The courts processed it. The authorities confirmed without ambiguity that Skims, the exporter and the importer, had zero involvement and zero knowledge of the smuggling operation. Kim Kardashian is not a suspect. She was not charged. She was not investigated. But for a woman who has built an entire career on controlling her narrative, who posts about everything, responds to everything, and is never, ever silent when her name is in a headline, issuing 3 corporate sentences through a brand account, and then going completely quiet is a choice. A very deliberate choice. And choices like that tend to keep people talking. 2. The criminal network behind this is still completely unidentified.
People are now comparing her to Diddy. They're comparing her, saying that this is a huge, thing that's been going on for years and years, and it's finally catching on. All these crazy conspiracies are coming out.
Here is the detail the headlines buried. 1 truck driver has been sentenced. 13.5 years. Case closed. Justice served. except the case is not closed. Conkle was the courier. The people who engineered the truck compartment, sourced the cocaine, selected the Skims shipment, configured the self-wiping phone, loaded the drugs during that 16-minute stop, and were waiting to collect $8.4 million worth of product on the other side of the English Channel. None of them have been identified, named, or charged. The NCA said Conkle was an important enabler, and that losing him hurt the network. But an enabler is not an architect. The criminal organization that built this operation is still intact. They lost one shipment and one driver. At the margins they operate on, that is a business expense. 1. This happens all the time. Skims just made it visible.
That Skims is not successful. I think that her brands are definitely successful and they are making a lot of money. But this is how you can move a lot of money, by transporting a lot of substances. You know, drug trafficking is basically what they call it. And this has gotten Skims written all over it, literally. You can see in the packaging here, it's also packaged so well. You're really going to tell me that the substances were just put into Skims without anybody knowledge higher up at Skims?
And here is the most unsettling secret of all. This was not a one-off. This was not a unique, unprecedented event that happened to involve a famous brand. The NCA was explicit. Organized crime groups regularly and systematically exploit legitimate commercial supply chains to move drugs across international borders. They pick the biggest, most trusted, most routine-looking shipments, because those are the ones least likely to draw a second look. Global fashion brands, with their high volumes, international routes, and established customs relationships, are exactly what these networks look for. Skims is a $4 billion brand. It ships enormous volumes of product across dozens of international borders constantly. This was the first time it became public. It was almost certainly not the first time it was attempted. Border Force Assistant Director Jason Thorne said his officers work around the clock to pursue exactly this kind of criminality. But the supply chains are vast, the volumes are enormous, and the criminal networks are patient, funded, and methodical. The truck with the Kim Kardashian underwear got caught because a driver couldn't act normal in a port queue. The ones that didn't get caught, nobody made a video about those. So here is where we land. One truck driver, sentenced to 13.5 years. One $8.4 million cocaine operation, dismantled at the border. One criminal network behind it, still completely unidentified, still operating, already planning the next shipment. And Kim Kardashian, cleared. Fully, officially, legally cleared by the NCA, the courts, and every investigator who touched this case. But the questions this case leaves behind don't disappear just because one man went to prison. How did a criminal network get close enough to the Skims supply chain to exploit it with this level of precision? Who coordinated that 16-minute loading window? Who is still out there? And why, in a story this big, did one of the most vocal public figures on the planet say almost nothing? Those questions don't have answers yet. And that is exactly why this story is not finished. Subscribe right now, because my follow-up video this week gets into what's happening behind the scenes. The brand valuation impact, what supply chain experts are saying Skims needs to do next, and what Kim's silence is actually signaling. That video goes to subscribers before anyone else sees it. Hit subscribe. Hit the bell. Drop a comment. Do you think Kim knew anything? I want to see what you think. I read every single one. See you in the next one.